Hi, my name is Joyce. I go by she, her pronouns, and I am a linguistics and psychology major with a minor in disability studies and Asian languages. Today, I'm presenting as part of the Disability Studies Department under the guidance of Fred Ariel Hernandez, and I will be taking you through the journey of my ethnographic research on atypical pitch in Mandarin speakers with autism spectrum disorder. So I was initially interested in the hallmarks of autism in speech, and one aspect that is often cited as abnormal or atypical in individuals with ASD is prosody, which is the tone and rhythm of your speech. So individuals with ASD have traditionally been said to be monotone or even having drastic pitch changes. Realistically, it can be much harder to tell depending on the severity of ASD. We can take a look at a few examples.
But at the same time consciously did. But for your whole life, you just thought that those were aspects of yourself while you seemingly kind of learned to unconsciously suppress your autistic self and learn how to try to live life in a neurotypical way.
So in this clip by the Thought Spot, the speaker actually sounds very neurotypical, but if you nitpick, you may be able to hear a slight awkwardness in the flow and a little bit of variation in the pitch. And now we have a second video.
A lot of autistic people will process slowly. There's so many thoughts racing in our minds. We are seeing so much and taking in so much information all at once that sometimes when it comes to speech, and this is why we have nonverbal autistic people, there's just too much for it to get through the logjam to come out of the mouth correctly or maybe even at a right speed.
So in this clip by the YouTuber I Am Mind Blind, we can see some disruptions in the cadence, as well as a more level pitch with occasional spikes. Practically, however, a typical pitch does not impact comprehension in English. Thus, I was curious to know whether we would find the same phenomenon in a tonal language such as Mandarin Chinese, where tone can change the meaning of a word. I searched the internet hoping to find videos of Mandarin speaking content creators with ASD talking to the camera, but was surprised to find that there weren't any. I did find two interviews, however, which I will show now.
我发现大家多多少少都有遗传到这个特质，是一个很强烈的家族基因。只是当你长期处在这样的家族里，你不会觉得自己怪，因为大家都是这样。
凯姐，我今天要来分享我成长的故事，克服逆境，挑战不可能的任务。小时候。
So in both instances, we can see some visible difficulty in reproducing speech. As someone who does speak Mandarin, where there were slight variations in their pitch that could be said to be unusual, but everything was still completely comprehensible. None of the tones were so off that they changed into another tone. This result, however, felt kind of unsatisfactory to me because I felt that I was severely limited by the data. And I felt like I would need to work with a much larger pool of data. And this limitation interested me, so I started looking into why there was so little content from individuals with ASD in Mandarin-speaking countries. A quick search showed a very skewed type of content. Nearly all of the videos were either inspirational news stories of parents raising severely autistic children or doctors offering medical solutions to autism. This led me to think about the cultural and societal environment that individuals with ASD in Mandarin-speaking countries live in, mainly in China and Taiwan. And it is definitely true that there is a much bigger emphasis on family in most Asian countries than in the US, which can contribute to an almost glorification of families that take care of their children with ASD. However, there seems to be a cultural lag in terms of ASD in general also. In their literature review, Wang et al. Mentions quote, as late as 2004, there were fewer than 100 articles on autism published in a year in China, while a search for ASD or autism on PsycInfo revealed almost 50,000 hits per publication year. The same search on the most comprehensive database of Chinese research, the China National Knowledge Infrastructure, revealed a maximum publication rate of 823 articles in 1 year, rising to that level starting only 4 to 5 years ago, end quote. While China and other Asian countries are improving in terms of bringing ASD to light, it may be hard to integrate ASD into their society. And individuals with ASD are still looked upon with pity and are not given a voice. And this brings me to the last point that I observed, which is the masking that this cultural difference enforces. I have one last clip to show.
Somebody's got to say it, and apparently it's going to be me. You aren't seeing equal representation of the autism spectrum on social media. If you can use your native language fluently, learn a variety of social rules, keep yourself safe without adult supervision, but occasionally punch yourself in the head when things go wrong, you might have the just a little different type of autism. But if you can't express yourself reliably, struggle to understand a variety of language concepts, and occasionally bite the nearest person when you have a headache, you might have the disorder type of autism. Those of us perceived as just a little different are featured in movies, documentaries, and theatrical productions. But those of us perceived as disordered are only featured in medical journals, therapeutic conferences, and case studies. The correct term, the term we need to be talking about a lot more, is profound autism.
In this video, Kaylin Partlow talks about the lack of representation for those with profound autism and how most of what we see on the internet are those who are only a little bit different. This, however, is exactly the opposite of what is seen in Chinese and Taiwanese media. There, only those who have profound autism are shown, and in a way that insinuates that they need help. In this kind of cultural environment, it is then natural that those with less severe ASD are either undiagnosed or masking. There is no safe space for content creators with ASD to speak up regarding their neurodivergence. In this way, we can also assume that most Mandarin-speaking content creators with ASD will have speech patterns that are essentially identical to that of a neurotypical individual. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to me at my email on the screen. Thank you.